let's assume that half of your territory has been grabbed by some enemy state, and then you've been asked, you've been, let's say, a refugee now, and you live in other part of your country, and then you get continuously your enemy is hitting you by rockets, missiles. Half of your population is actually from your occupied territory passed to another part where you live in shelters, and then they continue and they say, we don't want you to live in here, and we will continue killing you. What would be your question? Would you surrender to them? We will never surrender.
Mr. Yermak, I was in Kyiv at the time of the Russian invasion of Crimea back in 2014. I've seen the country's fight over the last 10 years and especially over the last 2 years. But to me, I'm afraid it is not obvious what you say that Ukraine will necessarily win. Do you have grave concerns that actually the Western support, both in Europe with delayed financing, on the back of what Mr. Orban is doing at the moment, but also in the United States, where there are grave concerns about what could happen after the next presidential election in terms of support, and there are concerns obviously under the current Congress about the level of support as well. Do you need to actually now start expanding the peace talks and actually getting to the table with the Russians? Because otherwise this could be a frozen conflict that could last another 10 years potentially.
First of all, this president, his team, we never agreed and never accept any frozen conflict. First, it's not acceptable by Ukrainian society and, of course, by the president and his team. The second, you know, when you are living every day in the war, then you go to sleep and not sure that you wake up, because we are over every night, every day, of attacks of the missiles and drones, and you can see you can see what happened 29th of December, of the 2nd of the January. It means that we are living in reality. I'm not thinking about some imaginations, and I can say very concretely, after visit of President Zelensky at the end of the last year and visit of our delegation several times in United States, and during the meetings in White House, in Congress, with both parties, with the Speaker, in State departments, talking to the expert, talking to the people who exactly know American policy, we back these positive feelings, and we hope and believe that finally the questions of the voting for the new budget for Ukraine for support will happen. I'm very positive also looking for the adoptions of the 50 billions from our European colleagues and friends. You know, these 2 years of our fightings, you can little bit back for beginning. And, you know, happened so many things which has the evidence. It's not my, you know, it's not just my emotion. Then I said, I'm sure that we win. You can remember the first days. And I'd like to say that we started to receive the weapons, the ammunitions in some months of the beginning. But during this period of time, our people, our brave nations, be able to liberate Kyivskaya region, to stop the Russian army, to not give the opportunity to occupy full our territories. And don't forget the results for today of these fightings. We already liberated about 50% of the territory which was occupied from 24 of February 2022. We are practically stop any activity, and now Russian fleets transferring from Crimea to another place. This year, we not give opportunity to Russia to occupy any particular city or town. Yes, we continue hard fightings. Yes, just in these seconds, our heroes continue fightings in Avdiivka, near of Bakhmut, this small city, which many people in the world didn't know this name before this war. 1 year, billions, 100,000s of the military of Russia, criminals from Wagner's, which was just Wagner's was destroyed about 20,000 around Bakhmut. Still, they didn't occupy fully this city, in which not exist any survived buildings. We open new grain corridors. We not listen blackmails from Russian side. And now these corridors, it's working. As I said, first Prime Minister of Ukraine.
Do you have sufficient personnel and weapons to win this war, as Mr. Yermak was saying?
Strategic goal of Ukraine is to get to 1991 border. Military goal could be different. And sufficiency always requires what your enemy will do. If Russians will continue pressurize, if they will be continued not being touched by sanctions, they will be, the oil and gas will be bought, and steel and metals will be bought, chemicals and minerals will be bought, and all the materials from them will be bought. Of course, it will require more resources from us. We will be fighting until we get to the strategic goal, and we're ready to continue, and we need the partner support for it.
Just following up on that, Mr. Yermak, is Ukraine facing pressure from its allies to offer compromises that are outside the 10-point peace plan, particularly potentially abandoning the idea of an immediate restoration of Ukrainian rule over Crimea?
Here, my friends and our Minister of the Defense, the person who is Crimean Tatar and who he is from Crimea, ask him if he is ready to talk and to forget about his homeland. Maybe you can say one word.
Where are you from? UK. So let's assume that half of your territory has been grabbed by some enemy state, and then you've been asked, you've been, let's say, a refugee now, and you live in other part of your country, and then you get continuously, your enemy is hitting you by rockets, missiles. Half of your population is actually from your occupied territory passed to another part where you live in shelters, and then they continue and they say, we don't want you to live in here, and we will continue killing you. What would be your question? Would you surrender to them?
I mean, personally?
Yeah.
If I had the means, I wouldn't. My question was about...
So that's why this the same thing to me. We will never surrender. This is first. Secondly, if 10 years ago, you ask now how many countries do support us, 83, I think, at the moment, like who visited this conference. If 10 years ago, they have not closed their eyes to what happened in Crimea, we wouldn't have Donbas, we wouldn't have a full-scale invasion. So that question should be, we should get rid of these questions. Why? If we will tolerate somebody's dignity today, territorial integrity, the occupants will continue such a hostility. So that's why it is important for us that rule of law should remain.